Next rule then. Rule number 8, be patient. Don't put words into the child's communication by answering the questions for him. Okay, you tell me Jimmy broke your crayon. Is that why you feel the way you do? Yes, that's it. You just answered the question for him. Okay? He just broke that crayon. Yeah, that's the way he did it. That's compared to show me how. You see, the picture is when we start answering. It's kind of interesting. Years ago, I had a teenager that I was counseling with, and the mother would bring him in and sit in the counseling session with him, and she would say, well, go ahead and tell him what we were talking about. We shared, and you asked me, so go ahead and tell him. And she would wait about 30 seconds or so, and then she would start telling me. Well, this one day she came, and before we got back to the office where we were going to do the counseling, she says to me, I think this is a waste of time. I'm going to wait out here. And I thought, thank you, Lord. Now, when that boy came back to share with me in the office, I wouldn't put up a barrier and try to tell him what I wanted to hear. No, I would wait. I would wait. It takes time for children to formulate what they want to tell you. So don't put the words in their mouth. Don't tell them what you want to hear. Don't interpret it for them. But if it takes time, wait. That's another important part that you're sending a message of listening. When you're willing to wait until they're able to express what they want to express. So there's the key. Waiting for them. Don't put words in their mouth. Wait for them. Wait for them. You'll shut them down if you answer for them. If you put it into something, all I got to do is say yes or no. That's too simple. Even if it is something that is right there, but you want them to communicate it to you. You don't want to let them just say yes or no, because even you do offer an explanation for them to interpret, then you're giving the interpretation. Is it really what they want to say? So you want to be very careful that you do not put words in their mouth. If you ask a question, wait for the answer. Don't help them answer it. Wait for the answer. Okay, the next rule. Rule number 8 that we just went through, be patient. Don't put words into the child's communication by answering the questions for him. Let's go to the next rule. Number 9, don't excuse negative expressions of anger as cute. Okay, now I know that children do things that really causes us to smile. There's a bit of humor there, and we want to smile and really break out in laughter. But on the other hand, let me challenge you with this. You just gave approval to whatever they were thinking and however they acted. You just gave approval. But you don't like it, but you just gave approval. You see, laughter is like applauding a child. So don't treat it as cute. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It might have been humorous and so forth. If you got to laugh, you got to laugh. But what I'm saying is you don't dismiss this and excuse the negative behavior. You need to take time. That was funny. But how would you feel if somebody did that to you? Do you think that was the right way? How did they feel about that? Do you know? And so be very careful that you, but yes, again, you can't always control that smile on your face and so forth. But you can come back and say, that was funny, but that was not nice. And how would you feel? Bring them back to the seriousness of what they did and how the others reacted to it. See, anger, again, is about I hurt, want you to hurt. Did you hurt that little boy by saying that or doing that? Was he hurting now? Do you feel better now that you hurt him because he hurt you? You see, again, as we pointed out in our diagram and so forth of the anger management, we don't know how much it's I hurt, want you to hurt, and we don't know how much the other person's hurting. We need to be very cautious to express to the child, it's not good to hurt. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Number 10, never label a child. Never label a child. I remember in a college class that I took in education, and the professor said the label is the liable. I can say to this person, you never do your homework. If he never does it, you failed every test. You're failing. Okay. You don't know, you're not a good student and all this. But wait a minute. If I say, well, you're an idiot. There's something wrong with you. I just labeled a child. And what was interesting, the professor told us, the label is the liable. That's where the professor can be sued the label is the liable. And for a child, a label is a liable. Don't label them. You're a bad boy. You shouldn't have done that. Whoa, wait a minute. A bad boy. You shouldn't have done that. Now, the little boy is sitting watching the news with mom and dad. And here's a story of a bank robbery. And we want to teach him the right thing. So what we tell him is, that's a bad thing to do. They're bad people. I'm a bad boy, and they're bad people. Am I going to do that someday? Now, let's put them in peer pressure. Okay, if your mother tells you you're a bad boy, then might as well be, they're already telling you you're bad, and this is what bad people do, so come on along with it. Let's do it. Don't label them, because that's the part that stays with them. So again, don't use labels. If you want to talk about something they did wrong, you don't talk about the boy, you talk about the action. You don't talk about the girl, you talk about the action. Again, anytime I begin to speak about the problem and the person, and I use the person in there, you said this, you did this. We mentioned this before when we talked about confronting. Well, now we're confronting children. And if you aren't specific about the problem, you're going to put a message in their mind where you're judging them. And now I'm bad. I'm wrong. There's something wrong with me because I did this and that. And so one of his peer pressure is going to come along and say, well, they say you're bad anyway. What did you say your mother told you yesterday? Well, then let's go ahead and do it. They're going to blame you for it. Awesome that we realize the importance of never labeling a child. Number 11, used a time of correction to build self-esteem. Now, if you remember, in our last segment, we talked about when and how to confront. And one of the things that we said in this was to begin and end with positives. Very important that we begin and end with positives. Now, what do we mean by this? Okay, you're about to scold a child for doing something wrong. Now, I don't even like the word scold. If you look at the word we used here was use a time of correction. It's not a time of scolding. It's not a time of punishing. It's a time of correction, to change something. Okay? To use it to build self-esteem. Now, when we tell the child he's wrong and never tell him he's right, what's the message the child is getting? What's the message you're going to get back? They never tell me when I'm doing good. They only tell me when I'm doing wrong. I'm never going to be good enough. Self-esteem, how they feel of their own self-worth. And if we don't recognize the good and accent the positive things, all we share is the bad things and the things that need to be corrected and all that. It's like, wait a minute, what have we just done? We just told the child that, okay, you can't do any good because we never recognize the good. You see, children need recognition. When it comes to self-esteem, children need to have their esteem built. As a matter of fact, before we get through this, part of the parenting program that we're going to talk about is helping to build self-esteem in a child. And here's one way to build self-esteem in a child. So we've got a point that we need to correct. Okay? But at the same time, we want to sit down and make a list. And this is the way I challenge. I shared this with a group of people. I think it was 161 we had in that group. And they were daycare workers, people who worked with children. And I told them, you need to go back home to your daycare, to your office, wherever you do your planning and working worksheets and so forth with the children. You need to go back and make a list of all of the positive things that you can say about each child. Let each child have a list of positive things you can say. Now it's time to correct them. And so what do? Pull out the positive list first. Oh, I know they're going to do something, but that is going to get you at the spur of the moment, and your list is over in your desk and all that stuff. We got to correct this now. Wait a minute now. You can stop the action and all of that. Take a pause and think of the positive things. There's two things that will happen there. Actually, three things. Number one, if you list the positive first, you're going to see the wrong. I'm not saying you're going to say the wrong is okay and so forth, but you're going to see it in a little different light. You'll be able to notice it in a more positive perspective. Okay, the idea of labeling and so forth, okay, we don't want to label them. We're focusing on the positive things. Maybe we want to give them a positive label. Use it to build self-esteem. Maybe you want to say, Johnny, you're a very good boy. Now, what you just did was not nice, but you're a good boy. And I trust you to do good things. I believe you can do good things. Well, look at all the things you did to help Mommy with this. Look at all the things you did to help your little brother. You do good things. This wasn't right. Now we're beginning to reason with the child in the sense of accenting the positive, mentioning what needs to be corrected, and then following up with a positive. Begin and end with positives. Okay? Don't let him walk away feeling he truly failed now and all those good things are forever forgotten. No. Let him walk away with the feeling that I'm only telling you this, Johnny, because I believe it's so much better for you. I think you've got so much to offer and so much good. This family needs you, Johnny. We need all those good things that you have to offer to us. So we thank you for being good. We thank you for being good, but we're going to correct this. Okay, we're going to have to stop this part. Okay?